Hello and welcome back to a new Nerf video on the channel. My name is Luke Triton and today we are covering the Hammerstorm of the AlphaStrike line. This is my review series of Nerf blasters on my channel, where traditionally I would look at older blasters from the past, go through them as a normal review and make a decision at the end whether it's still worth the purchase in comparison to newer blasters on the market today. However, I've been able to get my hands on a few new blasters recently, this being one of them. And I thought, well, you're still going to do reviews, why not? So this is the Hammerstorm of the AlphaStrike line. This is a very interesting blaster for a number of reasons. First of all, the overall size. It's supposed to be a sidearm, and sidearms are something you need to be able to holster easily, be able to take out of your holster really easily and quickly nonetheless. But the overall size of this makes that very difficult, potentially impossible. You'd need a massive pocket of some kind to be able to holster this in the first place. It's just massive. It's so chunky. So, you know, this is the blaster. Here's my hand. That is ridiculously big. I don't care who you are. That's just unnecessary space being taken up there. I did see a mod video online. Sadly, I cannot remember the name of the channel, but I will find it and put a link to it in the description for your interest, where the modder, I believe, cut out this front section so the barrel attachment point was here, and also remove this whole bottom area here. So the whole point of the AlphaStrike line is that it's intro blasters. They're cheap, they're supposed to be easy to get a hold of, and all this extra plastic being used, all this extra space again being taken up, is that really necessary? If I saw this in comparison to the hammer shots from the Zombie Strike line, similar overall design. It's a hammer powered blaster. It has a 5-dot revolver instead of the 8 that this one has, but it's much smaller, much easier to use. Which one would you go for? Depending on the price, you might go for the cheaper one. Doesn't matter which one you probably go for, there are preferences. But knowing that you want it as a sidearm, chances are they're going for the Zombie Strike blaster instead of this one. So why would anybody go for this? Well, there are a few things that turned me on. First of all, extra dart storage integrated into the blaster itself. That is something I like. Whilst I am someone who would rather use attachments for extra means, for example, the Barrel Break IX2 comes with an 8 darts holder. I can definitely slide that onto this bottom rail under here. But I get a bonus 8 dart storage built into the blaster itself. That is really cool, because there's 8 extra darts with you at the ready. Whilst it's a shame that this blaster only comes with 8 darts to fill the chamber and not an extra 8 to fill that. That's just, well, Nerf really. I mean, they don't sell more than enough darts with any blaster. Nonetheless, I like how that's there. Speaking of the tactical rails, I do like how there's a rail here. I love that there's a rail on the top. And I love the fact it has a barrel attachment point. That is a key turn on for me. I love to be able to modify and, well, not modify, accessorize my blasters, adding as many attachments as possible. I could definitely see myself making this bigger to be a very slow firing sort of SMG sort of thing. It's obviously it's a pistol mainly, so it doesn't have a stop. I can definitely see myself with a small scope, a barrel, a grip, holding it like this. It'll be quite interesting to try and do that. That is for the combos video, so stick around for that. But nonetheless, it is good that that's there. I'd rather have a blaster that had these attachment points than having it not there, because there are some blasters that look really cool but don't have the attachment points, which is a massive turn-off. Take the 2016 Elite Hyperfire, for example. It had one small tactical rail on the top, and that was it. So whilst it was a fun blaster to use, the accessories couldn't be used alongside it. So another key point is the 8-dart cylinder this blaster is fitted with. Whilst other revolvers have 4, 5, 6 darts, this one has 8. That is very cool, because first of all, more darts. Duh, more firepower. Secondly, it kind of works in a way. I don't know why, but if this had 6 or if this had 5 even in comparison to other sidearms, why would you go for this one? Again, you have the accessories, you've got the dart holders, and it's supposed to be in the AlphaStrike line, which makes it cheaper. But the overall bulkiness of it, you may as well get, again, to the blaster that I referenced earlier, the hammer shot from the Zombie Strike line, because that's more appropriate sidearm shape rather than this. So the fact that it's overall just bigger, it may as well have those extra darts, and I think the Nerf team knew that. So assuming that's the case, that was definitely wise, and that's definitely a good idea, and I love that it's there. This is a hammer action blaster, and it is a bit difficult to get to the hammer. So holding it like this is how you would obviously normally hold it. I can't quite reach it with my thumb. That's just not me having a short thumb. That's me having to flip the blaster up in order to reach it in the first place. That's difficult. That's just one hand though. Put your hand down here and use it with two hands. It's a lot easier for you to just reach your hand up and grab the hammer with your thumb that way. Now, firing this is standard, I suppose. I mean, it's not too different to any other blaster. But I kind of have this feeling that it hits harder than other spring-powered blasters. Maybe it's because there's no interference for where the dart is being fired from. Yeah, you got this barrel attachment point. There's a tiny barrel, I suppose, if you want to classify it as that. But it's basically being hit out of the chamber straight away. It looks and feels like a hard-hitting blaster. I think that's pretty cool. So that is everything I pretty much have to say about this blaster. It is unique with a number of different things. It's interesting, does more than what it should be doing, but at £15, which is what I paid for this at Argos, is it worth the purchase? Despite it being in the AlphaStrike line, it's still a bit much for what it is. I for one still think it is an interesting blaster and worth the purchase. The barrel attachment point and two tactical rails means you can just play around with it. Remember, it's a toy, add some attachments, put a scope on it, use this as a sniper, just have a bit of fun. I mean, why not? It's definitely something to try out, and if you could make a holster big enough somehow for this to sit in, I'd love to see it. I mean, that would be absolutely amazing. I think that's a DIY project for me to do in the future as well. Again, in the description of this video will be a link to another video I saw online of the modification of making this smaller, so if you are interested in doing that yourself, be sure to follow that link. Again, it was cutting off this sort of front section here to make that barrel ultimately just a bit smaller, and getting rid of this tactical rail and dart holder section, so that whole chunk just doesn't exist anymore. It looks much better personally, but I'm not a modder. I'm not gonna, well, I have modded a blaster before, and I will be doing some more modding in the future, but just to see it as a kind of smaller version of this is really cool. So yeah, that is the AlphaStrike Hammerstorm. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you all ever so much for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already. I will see you all in the next episode. Bye.